Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today we're kicking off our news coverage on the Pittsburgh Steelers with a signing here and a quarterback signing, all right? Heading into the day, the Steelers currently had 0 quarterbacks slated to be on their roster for the 2025 season. Well, now they have signed quarterback Skylar Thompson, Kansas State and Miami Dolphins legend, to a futures deal here. So I think if you're Kyle Allen today, you're not feeling too good about your status as the third QB of the Pittsburgh Steelers next season. So this is why you subscribe to the channel, man. Every time Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin make a big move this offseason, we're going to have you guys covered with breaking news coverage. We're going to let you guys know our thoughts on the signings, all these different things, every trade that happens, every signing, every cut. Whenever the Steelers make a roster move this offseason, we've got you covered with a video right here on Steelers Talk. So let's kick off today's show here by talking about the newest Steelers quarterback, Skylar Thompson. He was a 7th-round pick, 247th overall, to the Miami Dolphins a few years back. He has 3 career NFL starts, including a playoff start all the way back in 2022. Didn't play all that well. Then he did get 1 start this past year as well. Didn't play well in that game either. But he's kind of known as kind of almost a little bit of a bigger athletic style quarterback that's known more for his mobility more than his arm and his ability to pass the football. And, I think that this move to go to Skylar Thompson and, the fact that the Steelers liked him and brought him in on a futures deal here kind of points to the fact that the Steelers, I think, are really going to be looking to get some athleticism in the quarterback position. I think, in terms of a backup quarterback, Skylar Thompson fits more the mold of a backup to a Justin Fields-led offense than a Russell Wilson offense. So I certainly think this signing lends credence to Justin Fields being this team's starting quarterback in 2025. But this isn't a major play, guys. Obviously, he's the only quarterback on the Steelers roster right now, but the Steelers are going to go through their process here. They're going to find every single avenue that they can go down, whether that's Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith. They're going to see all the options at their disposal, and then they'll decide which quarterback is best for their plans here in 2025. But, Skylar Thompson's going to be more of like a third quarterback type option. Hell, he might not even make the final roster next year, depending on how he plays in training camp and in the preseason. And to me, it does sound like Mike Tomlin is leaning Justin Fields. Tomlin did take the podium today for the final time for the 2024 season to kind of put a bow on this year. And he was asked multiple times about the quarterback situation, what he's looking for. And he was asked directly today about Justin Fields and what steps he needs to take to become a franchise-level quarterback in the National Football League. And his answer to that question was he's already taken those steps. So I don't know, if you say that about a quarterback, unless you genuinely think, yeah, they could definitely come back next year and be this team's QB1. So I thought Tomlin was very, his description of Fields was very glowing, and it definitely sounds like he's in the mix to be the QB1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers next season. And another thing that Tomlin did is that he stressed quarterback mobility as something that would be significant in this team's evaluation of the quarterback position this offseason. And as we know about Justin Fields, he's one of the most dynamic QB rushing threats in the National Football League today. So my take on the whole situation, and you guys know I have my concerns about Justin Fields, but I do think that both Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith have been very complimentary of Justin Fields and how he's handled his business this year. And I think that the most likely route that the Steelers go down is that Justin Fields will be your starting quarterback week 1 of the 2025 season. And then they'll probably bring in another high-end backup, somebody like an Andy Dalton or a Marcus Mariota or a Jacoby Brissett, just in case Justin Fields ain't it and they got to change gears mid-season. And they can go to a kind of a high-end backup type guy, but that's probably what I think is going to happen at this point. But as I've said, guys, Fields is a big risk. I think that, he still has a long ways to go as an in-structure playmaker. His footwork needs to get better. Accuracy needs to get better. Mental processing needs to get better. Downfield vision needs to get better. Downfield accuracy needs to get better. I lay out my entire list of concerns around Justin Fields and what he needs to do to become the star-level quarterback he's physically capable of becoming in a video we put out yesterday. I'll put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show. So still to come here on Steelers Talk, Sam Darnold. We'll talk a little bit about Sam Darnold, and after this kind of late season collapse there in Minnesota, I'm going to tell you why it's more likely he becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler now than before this late season collapse. And there's been some negative reports surrounding George Pickens and his punctuality to meetings, games, and practices. We'll go into those here. And then ESPN predicts that the Jets are going to hire Arthur Smith as their next head coach. We'll talk about these topics here in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. And personally, guys, I don't make New Year's resolutions anymore because I never really seem to deliver on them. But something I will definitely be bringing with me into the new year is my favorite whole body deodorant products on the market with today's sponsor, Mando. Mando's whole selection of products is safe to use anywhere on your body and are clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Take advantage of Mando's special offer just for Steelers Talk listeners, which gives new customers $5 off their best-selling starter pack with code CHAT at shopmando.com. And in that starter pack, guys, you guys can get an excellent little bottle of body wash. I have a whole bottle of this stuff back at my place here in Dallas, Texas, and I love it because it keeps me smelling fresh for up to 72 hours. If I ever have like long nights, especially during like the NFL draft or something like that, where we're in the office for multiple hours at a time and I'm not home a lot to shower or whatever, Mando keeps me smelling fresh for up to 72 hours. It's absolutely fantastic stuff, guys. I highly recommend their body wash. But Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and then 2 free products of your choice. You can pick the body wash. They also have really good deodorant wipes if that's more your style. Plus, you get free shipping, so there's no reason not to try out the Mando starter pack today. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando Whole Body Deodorant today. So let's talk a little bit here about Sam Darnold, because I think this is a name that Steelers fans should be keeping their eye on here. As I've said before, I think Justin Fields is the most likely option, but after this kind of late season collapse from Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings this year, losing to the Detroit Lions in Week 18 and then losing in the first round of the playoffs to the Los Angeles Rams and honestly getting their butts kicked in both of those football games, lends credence to Darnold being made available this offseason. You can see his stats this year in general have been awesome, man. 35 touchdowns in the regular season to just 12 interceptions, a good completion rate. He was really bombing the ball down the field to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and those guys all season long in Kevin O'Connell's offense. But then in the last 2 games, not so good. 53% completion percentage for just 411 yards. That's just over 200 passing yards per game, even though he was throwing the ball a shit ton in those 2 games. And then he had 1 touchdown, just 1 interception in those 2 games played. So not good. Took a ton of sacks these last 2 weeks. Did not handle pressure well. And, I think that after these games, Darnold's going to be more affordable now. I think that he is somebody that I think the Vikings are going to move on from. I think they're going to go with J.J. McCarthy, who they drafted in the top 10 of the draft last year, and they're probably going to try to tag and trade him. So you guys can take a look here at some notable 2024 stats from Darnold. And honestly, kind of the EPA numbers and the accuracy numbers maybe aren't as good as maybe you think that they are. He was about league average in EPA per play. He was 11th in catchable ball percentage and 14th in adjusted completion percentage. But this guy bombs the ball down the field, man. He is a big game hunter. He was 5th in ADOT last year, 8.2 yards per attempt. That was 4th in the league. The big time throw percentage was top 10 as well. But another thing, guys, and the 2 things that really are not good with Sam Darnold is that he puts the ball in harm's way too much. He was 31st in turnover-worthy play percentage and 41st in time to throw. So my scouting report on Sam Darnold, I love the size that he brings to the table. I love the arm talent. Those things have always been there. He's built to play in the AFC North if the Steelers end up getting him. And then the mental processing was something that took another step forward for him in Kevin O'Connell's offense. But the cons, he's aggressive to a fault. He throws the ball into really tight windows a lot, which leads to more turnovers. And then he holds the ball for too long. And if the Steelers offensive line is anything like it was this year, that would mean Sam Darnold would be taking a ton of sacks. So if you get him, he's a high risk, high reward starting caliber quarterback in this league. And, I think that Darnold, it kind of fits the mold of what Arthur Smith wants in a quarterback. With the thing with Russell Wilson is, even though I still think he's a decent starting quarterback and with a good run game, all these different things, he could be really good, he doesn't really hit the middle of the field past his first read all that much. Sam Darnold, that might be the best thing that he does in his game. So I think that Arthur Smith might look at a guy like Sam Darnold and say, that might be my quarterback. So keep your eye on Sam Darnold in the weeks and months to come and his availability. Also, I would say that this takes Matthew Stafford off the table. I think maybe if Sam Darnold had a phenomenal end to the season and then the Vikings ended up trading him to the Rams, maybe Sean McVay would think about trading Matthew Stafford. But now that the Rams are on the up and up, Matthew Stafford is still under contract for multiple seasons, and they just won a playoff game. I think that the chances of the Steelers landing Matthew Stafford in a trade have gone from very low to pretty much nothing. Then I want to shift gears here to the wide receiver position and George Pickens, because we've seen multiple reports come out here in recent hours about Pickens' poor punctuality, being late to meetings, being late to practices, and being late to even games. Mike Florio reported earlier this week that Pickens showed up late for Pittsburgh's Christmas Day game versus Kansas City. Of course, that was the game where he was panned for not giving the best effort in his route running. Maybe that was because he showed up a little bit late, wasn't fully prepared. And then Mike DeFabo from The Athletic, who covers the Steelers, said that players in the Steelers building became accustomed to Pickens being late to practices and meetings. He was late so often. And it's like, is this really the guy that you're going to be paying like $28 million, $30 million per season on an extension this offseason? Is this the guy you want leading your wide receiver room? Somebody that's not showing up on time, is not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing? And I do want to say that the timing of these leaks are very telling. I think if the Steelers didn't want these to get out there, I don't think they'd be out there. But, I think that it's been well established here that the Steelers are flirting with potentially shopping George Pickens via a trade this offseason. And I think that's probably what is going on here, where the Steelers are allowing this information to get out because they want to set up kind of their situation where they maybe want to shop George Pickens this offseason and they want to trade him, and they don't necessarily want the fans to get all crazy about this here because he's obviously a great talent, and if the Steelers end up trading him all of a sudden, people are going to want to know why. I think right now the Steelers are trying to lay the groundwork for the reasons why they end up trading George Pickens this offseason. And, you might be saying at home, all right, well, if they trade George Pickens, I want a first-round pick for him. He's that talented. And I agree with you. He is that talented. He's a first-round caliber pick type of guy, but he just doesn't show up to work on time. He crashes out and he fights other opponents. His production hasn't been a number one pick caliber wide receiver in his first 3 years. So I hate to break it to everybody out there, but the Steelers do end up trading George Pickens this offseason because of the risks involved in acquiring him for another team there. I'd be surprised if the Steelers get a day 2 draft pick for him at this point. And I think if the Steelers cut bait with him, it's going to be for probably a day 3 draft pick. And personally, I would love nothing more for GP to turn it around, be punctual, be the professional that he needs to be as the number one receiver of this football team. But after 3 seasons, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and it seems like things are getting worse and not better from the personality standpoint, I'm not sure if giving him $28 to $30 million per year on his next contract is going to make it any better. So my plan at wide receiver, if I'm the Steelers, and what I think they're going to try to do, is I think they're going to try to trade George Pickens for the highest possible draft pick, whether that's a 4th rounder, 5th rounder. Hopefully they can get like a 3rd or a 2nd for him if somebody's willing to bite on that. But then I think they're going to sign a veteran to be their new number one receiver. I think Davante Adams is somebody they're going to keep a very close eye on. Davante Adams was on the Kate Adams podcast today and said he would 100% play for Mike Tomlin. So keep your eye on Davante Adams to the Steelers. And then I think they take a young stud wide receiver for the future in the draft on the outside. He drafted Roman Wilson in the slot last year. I think they go out and get another outside receiver in the draft this year. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Should the Steelers move on from George Pickens this offseason? Give me a yes or a no. I certainly hope that the Steelers and George Pickens can figure something out and he can stay here long term. But I think with all this different stuff coming out, I think it's getting more and more likely that George Pickens is not a Steeler past this offseason. So I really do appreciate all of your guys' support, guys. Make sure you click that subscribe button because we're going to have extensive coverage on the Pittsburgh Steelers all offseason long. And now the final topic that I want to talk about today is the head coaching search surrounding the New York Jets, because according to ESPN's Dan Graziano, they are very much considering Arthur Smith to be their next head coach there in East Rutherford, and he predicted that Arthur Smith will be the next Jets head coach. And hopefully the Jets are this dumb. I really, really hope the New York Jets take Arthur Smith off our hands here in Pittsburgh, because that gives Mike Tomlin yet another crack to hopefully get the offensive coordinator spot correct, all right? But at the end of the day, guys, I don't think the Jets are going to hire Arthur Smith. I think they're going to go in another direction here, and obviously that's something that I think is not the best thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I think that's what's going to end up happening. And then speaking of speculation here, I don't think Mike Tomlin's going anywhere. I've been saying that for weeks here, and everything that's come out in recent days and even today seems to confirm that. Mike Tomlin, in his final press conference today, was asked what he would say to teams that are interested in trading for him, and he said, quote unquote, save your time, because he's not leaving. All right, so it does appear that Mike Tomlin is excited to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's ready to get things going for the 2025 journey here. And speaking of that journey, we're going to have you guys covered with every single news story for the 2025 offseason, heading into the 2025 regular season right here on Steelers Talk. Every trade, every cut, every signing, every draft pick, we got you covered on this channel every single day for free. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.